Hello everyone, welcome to this review session of the NAOL Season 17. This is round 3, and let's jump right into game 1. We have 1Q black versus 4Q white. Yeah, let's jump right in. Black approaches. This is fine. This is actually, if you can approach a 3-4 corner from one of your own corners, like black is doing here, this is considered very good. This is considered very good. White goes here. Standard Joseki. I know the names, but I just left their OGS names just because for, I don't know, just because in case somebody else sees it and they want to not have their name out there. Yeah. That's right. I think it helps that your name is, like, your OGS name is your name. But yes, it's in the email if you want to see. I believe your game is the second game, I believe. Yeah. So black goes here. This is totally fine. Nowadays, you will actually see moves more akin to something like N4, believe it or not, which is helping the corner somewhat, but also trying to help the bottom side as well. You will also see just taking the corner entirely as well. And when white tries to come in, treating these 3 stones lightly and almost as some thickness as well. So if white were to come in, we can jump out with white. And the idea here is we are prioritizing our corner. You can see white is not settling anytime soon. Whereas when we play here, obviously it leaves the lower right corner to be approached. But either way is fine. This is just a more trendier, I guess, AI-approved way of playing. But if you play K4, it can't be a mistake. And then white invades, yes. And we get this Joseki. And then black plays here. So yeah, and this is very nice when black has the formation, the Joseki in the lower left. And then white plays here. I think taking the corner is a good idea. Whenever you get this lower left Joseki, though, whichever side, let's say this one space jump is facing towards, that side gets very small for both sides. Neither side should want, in this case, the left side now. So when white plays here, it actually means the left side is pretty flat. And it's because since white is so solid in the lower left, it's not like black can look to counterattack if black plays on the left. But because white is so low, white can't expect a lot of points on the left side here. With moves later on just being moves like the shoulder hit. Whereas if black, let's say, I think white should play something like N17 to try to build the top. That side seems bigger. You can see if black just plays on the left side, something like this, it doesn't put any extra pressure on the lower left. So black's not getting a lot of points here on the left side. But yeah, so I would recommend white playing here. This also puts more pressure on the 3 stones while building the top. So black correctly plays here, and then white hanes. And I think haneing is possible, but not with the way white answered. So usually you want to just extend here. Yeah, it has to do with forcing moves, because you'll see white hanes, black hanes, Atari, and connect, and now white has 2 problems. And so if white connects, then of course black gets this huge hane and even this Atari. And that's pretty big by itself. Even black can leave it now. But what happens in the game is white just ends up saving, but in the process, losing that stone they just played, 3 moves ago? So yeah, now white is sealed into the corners. If you can ever seal in a corner, that is very, very good. That is very, very good. But now it is time for white to come in. And this is always a big question mark for a lot of players. And I'm going to try to simplify how to decide how to, let's say, invade the right side in this case. So if we take an empty board, and let's say we have something like this on the left side, where we have an almost symmetrical position, it is okay to just split it, right? And they tell you, okay, if you can leave a 2-space extension on either side, that's good, right? And it's because it has to do with Miai. If my opponent takes one, I take the other. And vice versa, right? Something like this. And it's because we don't mind which way our opponent forces us to go. But when we have a position like this in the game, we should kind of mind which way our opponent forces us to go, because it's not a symmetrical position. So black has humongous thickness in the upper right, so we should try to stay as far away from that as possible. So here, I don't think black would want to ever extend from R13. So playing R9 is very natural for black. This is a very comfortable move to play. Not only is it a two-space extension, but it's pushing white towards black's thickness. So instead, white should want to make black's R9 uncomfortable. And what I mean by that is white should play here at R10 if white wants to split the right side. Because here's black's dilemma. If we want to push white towards our thickness, we have to play this one-space jump. And not that this is a bad move per se, but it's definitely surrounding a lot less compared to R9. But let's say, so black might be enticed to play from this direction. Well, this would be trying to make territory with our thickness, and we're also forcing white away from our thickness, which is counterintuitive. So this kind of move, this spot specifically should be the spot white should look at. I bet white looked at this because, oh, either way I play, I can get a two-space extension. But as we see in the game, white doesn't really want to extend 2 here because we're just playing even closer to black's thickness there. So think about what your opponent wants when you're about to invade and try to thwart that if possible. So this is almost like the right spacing. This is the Goldilocks move here. Beyond that, shoulder hitting the Shamari is also possible, but you probably don't want to do it immediately because, again, we're looking at the thickness, right, in the upper right, so we want to play away from that as possible. So a move I see a lot is a move around 07. The idea with 07 is we are threatening to Q7 next. The idea is we're going to play Q7 next, and if black prevents that somehow, well, now we can jump into the bottom side like this. And again, now we're playing in an area where black doesn't have thickness because, again, we're trying to avoid playing towards the upper right because that's where black's thickness is. But if black plays something on the bottom, then we play the shoulder hit and our shape's going to stay very light. So those are the spots I would look for. But white went here and jumped after the pincer, and this is a little too slack. Again, we have so much thickness here that we almost want white to run that stone out. And even if you, let's say, wanted to secure this space here, you got to play a more efficient move. Because if we imagine this move being Sente and even this one, you can see how over-concentrated black gets with their thickness now. So yeah, it's a little too slow there. White attaches though, yes. Again, playing away from the thickness, is this good? And Hanes and connects, yep, that's good. But now we have to ask ourselves, how strong is our right side? How strong is our right side? So one, black's turn here is okay, but it would be better to just knight's move. It's a little faster, and it's not like white pushing here creates a lot of weakness. But how strong is our right side? Because white comes in. Now here's the problem with H3. If we divide up the board into segments, like we have one segment here, we have one segment on the left, we have a segment up top, and then we have this 3-space segment here. This is actually the smallest area on the board. So white should not necessarily want this area. So white playing here, I guess it does try to isolate the 3 stones here, and so white came on top. I think black here should come down here to take the points in the lower right. This lower right is getting really big, really, really big. And it's not like in one move, white captures these 3 stones. So while white will be running out, as black, we can reduce the left side. So in general, in your games, it's almost a game of chicken in terms of invasions. You don't want to be the first one to invade. So here, I would actually be trying to build the left side like this, threatening to play on the bottom somewhere. And then let's say black gets worried about the left side. Black comes in somehow. Now we can attack black. Now the roles have reversed. But by coming in now, we're allowing ourselves to be attacked and almost pushed around in a way that probably won't be beneficial for us. So white goes there and plays here. Yep. And in this case, when you have so much... First off, white has one weak group already. So white is creating another group here. So black could really think to be aggressive here. Black can play moves such as N2 to really attack white. Because the question is, does white have enough space on the bottom to live? Well, if white has to make these kind of exchanges, it's going to be very painful, right? This hurts the corner. And if white tries to run out, well, white would be running towards, you guessed it, white's other weak group. And so now white would be juggling. When you play in one direction, it hurts the other direction. And of course, you know, many things could happen, and black does need to worry about these 6 stones here. But this is the kind of idea. We kind of want our opponent to play towards their other weak group and then cut them off right at the end. You could also play probably this one's even better now that I'm looking at it. Because again, you're using your stones at P7, you're using the fact white is weak, you're using the fact that if we think about sector lines, white came in pretty deep. So, yeah. So shoulder hitting here is okay, but you notice even white ignores this move in Hane's, and I agree. White actually takes out a lot of points here. Yeah, white takes out a lot of points. So, yeah, now black does get a second move to attack the right side, but there's still a cut at R3, so the corner is not even black's yet. White is fully alive, and now white just has one weak group to deal with. So white attaches, comes out. And then black went here. Yeah, I'm curious why... Like, it is a big move, but I would continue trying to seal white in. Force white to live small. Playing here, I would turn as white, and again, this would be black. It looks at least like black's trying to make points in the center, but if white's alive on the right side, it's going to be very hard to make points in the center, because it means, let's say you extend here, now you're going to have to somehow connect up these stones that are, 6, 7, 8 blocks away. So even if you get one more move, white can still reduce. So if white just pushes and maybe takes corner here, all of black's points are in the center area, which is not small, but again, it takes one more move to secure it. And at any point, white can play moves like the shoulder hit to reduce it. So yeah, black should keep trying to seal in white. Peep, Hane, double Hane. And then white extends. And this, once again, feels very aggressive. I like the cut, but I would just extend next. And again, if black wants to capture the one stone, then we still have time to come into the center somehow. And now our right side is pretty much fully alive. But when you extend, now you're heavy in the center. Now you have to make these stones live. And then even come in deeper. So this game, you can see early on, white invaded the right side, then invaded the bottom. Now white's coming to the center. White, I always say this, you have to practice self-love. White is so focused on what black's doing, but white, you have points too. You can make points too. So white is so caught up in just taking away points that white's not worried about making points. So white should just jump here and surround a lot of points on the left side and threaten moves like D8. So like even if black wedges and connect, you can see if black plays something on the left, then okay, we can take the upper left corner. If black plays something here, playing D8 now, white's making third, fourth line territory. That is not bad at all. But white's so focused on, let me get rid of this center territory that, yeah, it's just not worth that much. black plays here. Once again, white could just take points in the corner, but white is so focused on, let me take away your points. Now, white at least was looking at least to cut here. So white had a plan here, but this plan, as we'll see, does not go very well for white. So black plays the shape point, yes. And white just ignores. Black extends. White descends, yes, it's a big point. And then it comes down. Jumps, yes, this is now threatening to cut, so white connects. And then black captures. White has the ladder or Atari's, but white can net, or black can net. And then here, white has to evaluate that these two stones, saving them is gote. So white should just leave this. Because white takes, but white's upper left is now getting surrounded. White really needs to add a stone to the upper left. But white takes, and then black can now threaten the left side still. And so they always tell you, try not to make too many groups on the board, right? If you have one group, that's perfect. If you have two, that's fine. If you have three, that's probably okay. But when you start to get four groups, like that's when you start to have problems. White has 6 groups on this board. And the upper left's not alive, the center's not alive, and yeah, so I think white was so focused on getting rid of points in this game that black just needed to divide and conquer, and white just ends up not having that many points. So white goes here, lets black capture in exchange for here, but now black has a Ponuki-esque shape on the left, so black now just plays at B18. White tries to live, but just not going to be enough space here. Now here, I think this move works. This move works, what black did, but usually you want to play here as the shape point. You don't want to clamp here. This is the shape point because if white blocks, you can play at A16. Yeah. In this case, it works to clamp. But like, for example, in some cases, white can counter clamp. And even if you capture, white can start to make eyes this way on the left side. In this case, it's still dead. But in general, you want to play, that'd be kind of almost like the mouth shape. It almost looks like. So yeah, but works in this case. Play there. Also, general technique is you want to throw in. If anything's going to work, you want to throw in to just get rid of liberties. Although maybe you can't do that throw in. But yeah, you want to at least do this to get rid of liberties. But again, in this case, nothing's really going to work. Push there. Back extends. And now white tries to go after the upper right. But in this case, with how weak the upper right is, white just dies as well. But white needed to do something, so it's understandable with the context. But yeah, white just dies. And white resigns. So I think in this game, black played very solidly. I would say the only thing black could have done differently was how black handled the bottom side and could have put more pressure on the right side. And for white, it was too much not building and it was too much reducing. You got to build first before you reduce. And yeah. Okay, let's go to the next game. Okay, here we are with game 2 from round 3. 1Q versus 1Q. And let's jump in. Yes. Okay. This is fine. And then black 3-3, sure. You are black in this game. Yeah. Play there, yes. And so white actually does kind of the old school now, which is kind of sad to call old school like 2015, 2016, but it's true, of the normal 3-3 Joseki. And so here, black did everything right up to here. The move you want to play next is Q8. And this move is easy to remember because this position is in a corner. The move is always one space away from this side star point. Like, for example, if white had blocked this way, it's the same move. It's one space away from the star point. So that's the move you want to look for. And the reason why is it's kind of like the problem that black would have in the other game we just looked at, where I have a wall, so I want to push my opponent towards that wall. So white would naturally want to try to play here, but this leads into the peep. And there's no real great way to answer besides just connecting. And then when black jumps, black's taking the corner, and this wall is now not even a wall. It's actually just a weak, heavy stick of stones. But white doesn't really want to play a move like this because it's way too close to white's quote-unquote thickness here. So it's the right space away where white can't decide, should I push you towards it or do I push you away from it? And even if white does something else, you just always peep this. So there's always going to be a problem here, no matter what white does. Unless white plays here and lets you extend along the right side, you just peep at p5. But going there is also, it's okay. It is okay. It does mean, though, if white were to play on the right side, now you're kind of missing your chance to kind of get the extension or get rid of white's extension on the right side. And black peeps immediately. This is also possible. It's also possible. And white says, I'm not going to connect, which makes sense. White, right? White doesn't want to connect. So black cuts. And so we already got a big fight. Big fight brewing. So white goes there. Yes, this is the shape point. Yes. White hanes here. And then black jumps. Here, though, T3 is such an important move. This move is so important. Because the point is that if white connects, you're going to get N5 anyways. If white doesn't connect, though, and if let's say white tries to attack you somehow, let's say somewhere here, connecting by itself, or taking, I mean, is sente. So white would have to connect. And even in this case, even if nothing works right now, you've created some aji. You've created some aji, whether you can R7 later, whether you can play here later, right? There's a lot of potential here for black. So this would still be okay for black to leave it at this stage. The problem for black here is when you jump immediately, white haneing at T2 is so painful. It's so painful. Because you almost have to push along the side, which is hurting your outside. This is hurting black's outside now. And like, do you push again? Like, you'd like to jump here, but if you let white block, well, now you have to live in the corner. And now we have to ask ourselves, how is black going to use these stones in the center now to profit, right? We cut so that we could attack white's potentially weak groups. But in this case, white would just be able to settle. And our corner is much smaller compared to this variation here. So yeah, you definitely need to Atari this. If white connects, then you can jump. If white connects, then you can jump. But yeah, that's a very important spot to get. Now white blocked, and take that. But yeah, so it's a little out of order. White should have played T2, but you got to a normal position, I guess. So white hane, yes, this is correct. And hane, and double hane, yes. So white cut, and then extended. And this is proper. This is proper technique. Black here, though, black should extend here. As long as white can't save the stone, which in this case white cannot, you need to extend here. Because when you Atari this, white is going to Atari back. And this Atari is so big in terms of building the right side in sente. In sente. So by extending here, if white were to play a move like O10 still, we wouldn't necessarily need to play at N8. We could play even just hane here, or we could maybe strengthen by playing this one, threatening a one-space jump, or maybe diagonal, right? We don't have to play so tight at N8. So it's just these little efficiencies, especially we're talking about 1Qs here on the cusp of 1 dan. These little efficiencies are what's going to separate the Qs from the dans. So yeah, but white extended and black properly pushed here because your opponent's big sente is like big enough to take. And it is probably sente, so white answers and push. And then played here. Yeah. And this is, again, good order of moves from black. Let me push first, see what white cares about, and then I'm going to shoulder hit. So I like this for black. And here, as white, we have to ask ourselves, okay, so I can either crawl or I can stand up. And white decided to stand up. But if we notice, whenever you stand up like white did, and white's getting all this thickness, what is this thickness facing? It's just facing a very strong, very solid black corner. So I don't think there's actually a lot of value in white playing this way. White's just getting a stick of stones almost. So I would be inclined to crawl here instead, actually. Because I don't see the value in white getting this stick here. Unless white was able to end in Sente somehow. But even then, how are we going to attack with this thickness we made? Black played there. Yes, that's good. Hane and jump. Very nice. Good shape. And then white went here. And here black played on top. In this case, we have to ask ourselves as black, okay, it's a similar position. When we take thickness here, we take the outside here, how likely or how much can we actually profit from playing for the outside here? And probably as well as white can in the same area. It's just an area that's now getting smaller and smaller because both sides are pretty much solid. Like white did answer, but even still, as black, I would rather just take the upper left. Something like this. Just take the cash here. And it's not like white is still alive in just one move. Even if white jumps out here, we can extend along the side still. We can cut in the center still. And the key is we're taking the upper left corner. Black goes here. The other thing is, as well, is black went here, maybe taking away white's move, but realistically, there's no problems there with the cut. Because if white ever cuts, because we played E17, we can Atari towards it, and there's no Aji there. So maybe black thought I didn't want to see white getting that spot, but again, we're talking about a small slice of the board in the center of the board. So, yeah. Black goes there. White fixes, yes. Turn. And then white went elsewhere. This is probably a little too fast. It is a big spot to play, but letting black get this Atari is very painful. Very, very painful. So, instead, white should either not make this exchange or just continue. Like, white could have left it here and played this. It just means white's shape is better. But I would just extend here and say, okay, black, like, try to kill me. Because it seems pretty difficult. But white went here. Black Atari. And black, again, does very well. And even black does a very nice exchange here of Haneing here. A lot of players would just cut immediately. And not that this is necessarily bad, but black almost forces white to add an extra stone to sacrifice. Right? Now white has randomly added an extra stone there. So, yeah, the only other way black could play, and again, this would depend maybe on style more than anything, is black could play a move like this and really try to attack white. This almost forces white to have to connect, and now, white's not alive on the left side. And again, I think this is possible, but I think black would have to wager, is this worth it to do this? And I think this is possible. This is possible. Black goes there. Because this Atari is pretty big for white, and it does help white settle. Play there, and then there. Okay. So that's all fine. Sorry, 1 second. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, and black's logic here makes sense. Okay, I've sealed white in, and white's helped the upper side, so where's my thickness facing? And it's facing the bottom side. Now, I think here, black had a better way of playing. Because in the game, black Haned and white attached. This is a nice technique. And Atari'd. But black somehow, in their attack, got Gote like a few points. Gote like 4 points maybe. You capture a stone, but you get a little bit in the center. So instead, whenever you have thickness, you want your opponent to then try to take the center. So here, black really needs to extend here. If white double Hanes, this would be a good result for black. White just captures 2 stones, and we gain a lot in the lower left. A lot. in Sente, and that's another key. In Sente, we can go wherever we want now. Probably play something in the upper right next. And if white just extends, well, okay, maybe we're not getting a Puniki now, but there's a weakness here at L4. So white needs to fix this somehow, and now we can actually just continue attacking white. So white will probably double Hane, but again, even if we just answer. White captures 2 stones in Gote. Technically not even alive yet if white's not careful. And we have Sente. So we just play something on the right side. So yeah, just taking the center here like this in Gote is pretty small. It's very small gain. White's even able to extend here. Yes, this is big. Yeah. Play there. Play here, yes. This is somewhat Ajikeshi. It's not the worst exchanges, but yeah, you can see white just able to connect, and there's not really any problems there. Later, we see black play G18, which does threaten to connect, but that means black should just... How should black do it? Yeah, I think if black wants to do anything, just connecting is best, I think. Because no matter what white does, there's going to leave Aji still. So for example, if white blocks here, now when we play moves like G18, we're threatening to peep at K18. Things like that. Just kind of letting the stone get captured there is not super great, but they do get a Sente move. And kick, yes. And then attach, yes. Attach, Hane, yes. Attach. So black has very nice technique here. This is very good. Very good Sabaki. And then jump, yes. Okay. White jumps 2. Black cuts. Realizes it doesn't quite work, so they give it up. Play there, yes. And now we just kind of have an end game. One final thing happens, and it's right here. So, yeah, this was a problem early on, and this is why capturing S3, as I was showing earlier, is such a big deal, is this corner is somewhat complicated. It's complicated. So black went there. You should probably just take, and even if white has to Atari, then you can play some whatever move works best. Probably, well, how does white kill here? Q2? Descend? Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting problem, actually. I think black can go here, and then this would allow white to, or black's alive here. Because white has to P1, but that allows black to R1. Okay. It is very tricky. The problem with, and I think you might even be onto something if white can... Yeah, you might be onto something, actually. If this... No, that doesn't work either. Okay, yeah. Because when you do this one and white takes, as you properly saw, there's still a ko here. So you're technically still not, like, alive. At what point? When black takes, like this? If white, like this? Yes. So if black Q1s, this would be a big mistake. Because if white N1s, you can't block. Yes. But black can play N1 instead. Because white can't S1. So white has to do this one, but then there's an I at O1. Yeah. I don't know how long these games are, because I've never played in the NAOL, but with how this game's going, I can imagine, and I'm sure they are serious games, so I'm sure it's been a long game so far. So I still think that there might still be something there. What if you cut? If you cut this way, actually. No, because then you just do this. Okay. Yeah. So, but along those lines, so you do this, yes, and it's still a ko, and this is a flower ko, so white should just fight this. White should just throw this immediately and just fight this. There's no reason. Black needed to take. Black needed to take here. Yes. Yeah, I think so, yes. Yes. This might even still be a ko, but it's so even if it's a ko, it's still going to be slightly better. Because you at least took a stone, whereas white was able to just capture outright like this. But yeah, white should start this ko for sure. Because it's a flower ko. White loses nothing if white loses this. But black has everything to lose here. And white has a lot of threats too. So white kind of dances around the fact that there's a ko there, but black very smartly just fixes it. So this was correct by black. Yeah. Like white could have started the ko and then played the moves white was playing. Or could even play different moves because it's a ko, realizing how big the lower right is. Because realistically, black maybe has some threats on the top side and some threats on the left side, but white has a lot of threats towards the top group, towards the upper left as well. Even playing something in the center would be worth, right? If white goes here and black has to save, like this is worth it for white. This is huge. So yeah. So black properly just ignores. That's good. Like that and cut. White Hane. So this is very peculiar by white. So if white had just done nothing, so we'll notice connect. This allows black to Atari. And then when black went here, white fixed. So white just kind of got gote. If white had done nothing, white keeps sente. But the fact white did something, white got gote. So white, this is a position where either you fight this ko, which obviously I don't think white should, but that means white should just leave this entirely. White should just do something else. Because even if black goes here, white shouldn't. You don't want to let black get this Atari, basically. So you almost want black to Atari this. So there's no point in trying to save this almost 1 point when it's going to be gote when you connect. Yeah. Because white ended up answering. Yeah. So black went there, yes. Then went here, yes. And then black just connect. I think that's a little... There are some weaknesses there. So black did identify some weaknesses, but I think playing here would be a more efficient way to fix. You can at least save 1 or 2 of these stones, because there is problems if black does like connects of white pushing here, and there's problems when white pushes. So we can connect like this, and if white cuts, we can still connect. So a little more efficient than just blocking here, and we lose, all 3 stones here. The net, yep. But yeah, this is just kind of goes to endgame, and I think white ends up winning this. Or was this one of the ones that ended in time? This might have been a time game, or someone lost on time. But I think black lost on time. But I think white was already winning when black lost on time. So I think the... Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, because it's not... I think it was like white by 30-ish or something close to that. The right side just got way too big. And so I think black's major problem was... Because I think I actually liked black early on. I thought black was doing very well. I think it happened when black tried to split the left side from the center. And you can see, even at the end of the game, what did black gain by separating white? Not much. So I think instead, black should have tried to force white to connect, force white to take the center dame, while black takes the cash on the left side. And then also, how black handled the bottom side, black had another chance. If black didn't take the 1 stone on top, and instead, depending on what white did, either take the lower left or keep white unsettled on the bottom. And for white, I think white played pretty solidly, besides some mishaps in the lower right, like missing some moves like T2. White played pretty well. White actually played pretty well. I'm missing this Atari at O10. I think this is a pretty good game, actually, from both sides. This was a game of minutia. Nobody made any huge, catastrophic mistakes. It was just small things here and there. Yeah. Cool. Let's go to the final game. Okay, we are back. Here is game 3. 2Q, black's 2Q, and white is also 2Q. Play here. We get a very interesting move. Very, very interesting move. One that I probably have seen maybe a handful of times in my pretty long career so far. D4. D4. So this definitely is not a standard move. And for white, I would say if you like this, keep playing it. But obviously, playing E3 or something would be better. So black plays down, yes. This is correct. And here, we see this shape a lot. It actually, I think, even came up in the last game. Where you want to Atari, because look at what happens to white's shape when you Atari. Right? It destroys white's shape, and then you extend. Now white's shape is horrible. To simply put, it's horrible. But by just extending and white connects, now white's shape is pretty solid. So I think if black had gone here and then extended, this would be a lot better for black locally. Because it's, again, like the last game. If white Ataris, we get this free Atari. But if white extends, in this case, now when we play moves like D9, well, now we're threatening to save this stone. So if white has to fix, well, now white's pretty over-concentrated there. So, yeah. If you can cut to destroy your opponent's shape, you should do that. Because it's not like I'm ever going to cut this way either. Because once again, I'm playing right into a cut that is, I have 2 liberties and white's other stones have more than 2 liberties. So I don't have a really good follow-up after that. But go there, connect, black extends, and plays there. Yep, this is good. And then white kicks and plays here, yes. And I'm assuming, I haven't seen any of other white's games, but I'm assuming since white played D4, this is definitely a move they've studied, or at least they prefer, and they know kind of all the follow-ups. Black goes there. Here, so what should you be thinking about here as black? Because you don't want to just connect, of course. So black's trying to be efficient and say, okay, you still can't cut because it's a ladder. So that makes sense. But the problem with that is this is the wrong direction. Because we don't want to play in the lower left. We want to play on the bottom side. So black should actually attach this way to fix the cut. This is how black should play. Because if white tries to keep making the cut work, it's just going to be more and more painful. Like even now, white still can't cut because we can now actually ladder the other way. Like so. So, yeah, white's now just on the second line. White was trying to attack, but now white's just on the second line, not getting much. And if white fixes like this and we block, once again, white's not getting much just playing on the second line. White's not even fully connected. So, yeah. This is where black should play. I think if black plays here, though, white should Hane, black will cut, Atari, and connect. And then when black saves, net like this. I think this is probably what would happen, if I had to guess. Black gets Sente, but white seals black in. And this is probably, again, since black gets Sente, this is probably playable for both sides. This is what I would expect after black H3s. But yeah, going here, yeah, notice this move does not take away a liberty from G3, and that's important. This move takes away a liberty, so it's putting more pressure on that stone. So white jumps, and then black goes here, and then white jumps. So now black's getting surrounded. So black turns, and white descends, and descending makes this cut work. And so black didn't want to connect, because if connect, and we play D2 next, all of a sudden, black's shape is horrible, no eyes, and has nowhere to run. So black jumps into the corner. I can click, yes, but allows white to cut. And so if we're going to let white cut, we shouldn't turn then. Because turning means we're just giving up an extra stone. So you'll see that when white cuts, black even goes here. This is, again, a minor mistake, but white's able to jump across like this. So I think black needs to play here to keep everything alive. It's still going to be small, but it's at least going to be better than the game. Because in the game, once again, black loses the stone. Black just immediately played. And here, white had a little optimization of descending. Because this threatens to take out the eye, but also means black can't win the semi-eye. When white just Ataris here, black Ataris, and gets a little bit extra. As opposed to this one, you can see white gets a few extra points there if white had descended, but okay. What happens in the game, black just ends up giving up these 3. Well, if you're going to give up 3, you may as well just give up 2. So that's why I think, like here, black should just do it. Like if black just did this one, well, now white would be an extra move behind, because now cutting, you have an exchange G6. So the only point of turning is you're trying to keep white separated. So even though it's not great, you really do need to just fix this. And just whatever happens, happens. Yeah. It's just losing the 3. It's just very painful. Because now also look at the spacing between the lower right and the stone at L3. It's 4 away. Which means now your stone here, which was once attacking, is now too far away. And this is where a lot of problems come in for weaker players, is they might be like, yes, I'm attacking. But then the board changes. And then who was once attacking is now under attack. So black goes there, and white just covers on top. Yep. And then black plays here. White splits here. And in the first game, I was talking about which way is it obvious to play. And so here, it's not super obvious which one is better for black. Now, I would say maybe this is slightly better because black wants to build the bottom right. But it's hard to say whether this one or this one is much better. And it has to do with they're more open areas. So in this case, splitting just down the middle is okay. But black says, let me get my response. And so this is actually very good by black. Playing here, saying, oh, white, your move's not sente, let me get my follow-up. And this is actually very nice because usually white can just Atari down, but black actually has all the stones needed to ladder this stone. This was good reading by black. So white just goes there, yes, played there, and then white extends. Black hanes, yes, to force white to live. And I actually remember seeing in the comments of this game by the players, they were wondering if this was big enough to leave it. Because think about it this way. Black spent 1 move there, right? Okay. Now black has spent 2 moves there. So white goes elsewhere. Now black has spent 3 moves now. So each time you have to spend a move in Gote, it gets smaller and smaller. So it might be possible for white to actually just leave this. Because if you do imagine, okay, black could kill this, right? And let's say white just does something else. Black's only real territory is in the upper left, right? And so black has 2 points on the bottom left. Black has an open bottom right and a stone under attack on the upper right. Whereas white has huge thickness in the lower left and some points on the right side. So this is definitely possible. So yeah, I think white did ask. I was thinking of ignoring, and I think you can. I think you can ignore. Because now when you save it, you're just making 5 points maybe, if you're lucky. So it's just not worth that much. The only value is it keeps this cutting stone more valuable. But once again, like, if you do ever run that stone out, right, you're just going to be, you're just in too deep anyways. So yeah, so I think it is possible to leave that. So black jumps, plays there, yes. Black caps, White plays there. Black kicks, yes, takes the corner. And then white slides. And here, what's the better direction? Is the top bigger or the corner? Because here, if I'm black, I'm going to lean like this and then play here. Because look at the size of the top. The top can build or grow very quickly with exchanges like this. Yeah, and so I think black should play in this direction. Playing here, because this move doesn't threaten the right side, it's Gote and white just comes in. So yeah, and once again, I think this is way too deep. This is way too deep of an invasion. It's like white's not considering black has humongous thickness on the left side. So, kind of like in the other games, how should we attack this? So we want to first force white out of the corner. Because again, that's points. And even if white jumps out, white's still very far from any friends nearby, right? Now, the closest friends are probably on the right side, so I would do the same kind of sequence where you lean here, and then lean again. And if white ever ignores to help the top, then this is going to be our profit. The fabled attack for profit, this is what we're looking at here. So if white just answers, though, now we can really put the pressure on white up top. So, yeah, we can push white towards our thickness in the left side. So, honestly, white should probably play a little lighter like this. Because, again, we don't need everything to live here as white. But, yeah, that's why, like, initially, white shouldn't even care about the top side necessarily. Yeah. If you allow black to have the top side, as long as it's just the top, you're going to be okay here as white. So, yeah, it's hard to pick a specific move, but just for example, if white makes this exchange for this, it's just fourth line territory. It's actually not that big. If you compare that, that's really all black has besides the lower right. So, yeah. But what black does is cap and really allow white to very easily live up top. Very easily. Yeah, so white just scoops out all the points here. Yeah, so white's just able to live. And so I think, yeah, this can't be that good for black, I don't think. Yeah, because black just takes the center, but you don't want to just make points in the center. You want to use your thickness to attack. And so I think, yeah, black adds a stone here to try to build the center. But when you just give white the entire top, as well as, remember, black spent a move to play R17 to keep the corner, and now black doesn't even get much of the corner. Black gets a point there in the corner. So, yeah, and the other problem is there's potential weakness here. Like, my eye immediately gets drawn to this move. Now, immediately, black has a nice way to defend by Haneing, and if white cuts, we can block here, and now white's unable to finish the blow here, the finishing blow here. But we can use the fact that there's a weakness here to play moves like this, right? We can poke at the knight's move there. Now black doesn't have a great way to fix, right? If we go there, we can poke again. We just see that the center is just not worth a lot. So this is where black's kind of got all backwards with how to attack this. Yeah. And again, kind of like in the first game, black could play more aggressive moves to really try to attack here. I think this is possible, but yeah, just letting white live is very, very nice by black, I guess I should say. And even here, at least you can clamp. Now, while white can block in Sente, white was alive anyways, so I don't think it's that big. And even if white's alive, this move isn't even that big anymore, so you could just now play a move on the right side. And actually, this white has to start to be careful about the right side if white's too careless. But yeah, so white attaches. This is a very strange way to go about attacking here. If you want to attach here, there's a very nice sequence you can play of playing here first. And the idea is when black plays this, we can't now seal black in. But if we can make this exchange, notice now when black goes here, we can Atari. So all we're doing is setting up this Atari. Yeah, that's the whole idea. So I imagine this on the board, and then I say, okay, it'd be nice if I can have this exchange first. So we start with this move. Because depending on what black does, we will play differently. But realistically, white should just play here. Just split the bottom side from. The white doesn't need to do anything fancy. Like white goes, oh, double Hane, triple Hane, right? But if black had simply just Atari'd and like gone here, white's actually just allowed black to connect their bottom stones. Now, you might think there's Aji here of cut and descend, but that stone has lost value now. Black can just Atari and connect, and there's no issues. So you see white's not really gaining anything here, and black just now has connected the L3. So I think white was trying really hard to make something happen here when white could have just played here. This move threatens to connect under, threatens to come out, threatens to attach to the corner. This move has a lot of ways. It's very flexible. It's a very flexible move. But yeah, black just cuts. This is almost what white wants, because they say Ponuki in the center of the board is worth 30 points, but in this case, definitely not worth 30, because once again, white is alive on the right side. Yeah. So we take there. Connect and connect. Yes. And then we get some weirdness on the bottom, is the best way I can describe it. As the final kind of thing to look at in this game. Yep, so white's reducing while building the left side. So black jumps in. And then we get this move. So we get the clamp. And the next move's so fascinating to me. Because if black just connects, white can't save that stone. There's just nothing white can do. 3 liberties to 2 liberties. There's just no problem. But black fights the ko here. When black didn't need to fight the ko. Yeah. So once again, it's almost a flower ko because nothing worked there to begin with. So now white has nothing to lose because white should have had nothing there to begin with. But so black goes here and white actually says, okay, I'm going to leave it. So yeah, once again, because something didn't work there anyways, I would just answer this. Because we also have local threats in that area as well. Right? If black takes, we can still like throw in here. And black probably has to answer that. If black answers that one, we can probably get this one too. So I would just answer this. And also, black has weak stones on the board. So these kind of moves are also co-threats. Black has weak stones in the center. So moves like this are also co-threats. So white can really play this ko, I think. So I think just leaving it immediately is not super great. It's not super great. Then we get more craziness with this ko. White cuts. So white just covers, which is correct. And then goes here. So this is actually very good direction. Because black's able to live, and black does live here. But, so white could have killed by going here. But in the process, instead, white goes after the right side, which is technically bigger. So this was a nice trade by white. Black connects, and then white's surrounded. And after white surrounds here, it's just very hard now for black. And in fact, this move's even a little slack. White can just keep putting pressure in the center, trying to be as efficient as possible. But this move does what white wants. And then yeah, even though black gets this surrounding move here, it's just not enough. Now, actually, I believe the game ended with, if we just go to the end really quick, at this point, I think actually black won on time, I believe. But white was definitely winning the game. If you can see, the left side is huge. The bottom right's huge. White took the top. I think it's like white by 30-ish or so. So, yeah, pretty crazy game. Pretty crazy game. But yeah, that's going to do it for this review session of the round 3 games. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next review session.